Hey, welcome everyone to the Wisconsin Whistle. I'm your host, Dan, aka Dyhard. We're going to be talking about the Xavier Lucas situation with the Badgers and him going to Miami. What is going on? Uh, what facts came out? What are my thoughts? And what's next moving forward for not only Wisconsin, Miami, Xavier Lucas, but also the NCAA? Is there a new way to transfer? We're going to find all that out this show, so stay tuned. A couple players got elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, actually three. So we'll talk about that. There was a pitcher to help the Brewers get to the playoffs that made the Hall of Fame. So we'll also talk about that. We also suffered a loss of a longtime Brewers broadcaster, so we'll also talk about him, kind of give a memory shout out to him as well. And we got some big rumors going on with the Bucks now. Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal, is Middleton on the move? What exactly is going on with the Bucks? So we're going to talk about all that and more. Recap the first half of the season, recap the second half of the season, and I got a whole lot more. This is a packed show today, so thank you for listening. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome everyone to the Wisconsin Whistle. Again, I'm your host, Dan Vachalek, aka Dyhard. Thanks for so much for joining me on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed that all is sports. Before we kick into the show, it's loaded today. I want to get right to the sponsors because I have just a ton of stuff to go through today, including the Bucks. I just do want to start out with saying the Bucks are postponed for tonight against the Pelicans. New Orleans just received 8 to 10 inches of snow last night. Southern New Orleans was 10 inches. Northern was 8. So just a ton of snow down there. Florida received snow. Myrtle Beach, Mississippi, all along the Gulf. So T's and P's out to you guys down there. Hope everything's safe. I know you guys can't handle that stuff. According to reports from Eric Neem, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, he said the Bucks are planning on leaving New Orleans tomorrow morning. Hopefully, they can't leave today, so they'll be getting in hopefully around noon-ish, 1 o'clock, enough time to be here and get to the stadium before their 6:30 p.m. game tomorrow night. So just remember, you're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Wisconsin Whistle. Again, my name is Dan Vachalek, a.k.a. Dyhard. You're on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So the Bucks have a game tonight against the Pelicans, as I said before our sponsors had a quick message. And their game has been canceled due to snow, 8 to 10 inches of snow down in New Orleans. South side got 10. North side got 8, Florida, Gulf Coast, everywhere. Basically got an insane amount of snow. I know they can't handle it, so T's and P's out to them. But on Sunday, the Bucks did play a game, and they won 123-109 over the Philadelphia 76ers. Kind of a little get back for the Eagles beating the Packers. However, most of Philadelphia was out for that game, so they won a game they should have won. But Philadelphia was forced to play small and fast. Bucks struggle with that. kind of can't keep up. Lopez, Middleton can't move as fast. Portis is bigger. Giannis isn't the fastest guy, even though he does like to drive and everything. But the Bucks aren't just a fast-paced team. They're kind of like a mid-range. I'd say a mid-range speed team. They could push it a little bit if they need to, but they do like to sit and pass the ball around and move. 4-0 week-long homestand, winners of 7 of 8. They're 24-17 on the season. Against Philadelphia, the Bucks went 4 minutes and 22 seconds without a made shot, which kept the game close going into halftime. Bobby Portis struggled. Gary Trent Jr. struggled. Bobby Portis went 2 for 10. Gary Trent 2 for 7. They struggled off the bench. Giannis did post 34 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, and he was awarded Player of the Week for Week 13, where the Bucks went 4-0. He had 32 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game. What was noticeable about those numbers is Giannis is actually leading the league with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out of OKC for points per game scored this season with 31.5. Giannis isn't in a really MVP conversation across the league, across the nation that I've been seeing. Some websites have been putting them in there and including them and saying, he's not considered MVP right now. And when you look at the Bucks and how they're playing, no one else is really scoring more than 14 points a game outside of Dame, who's at 25. Giannis is carrying this team. Giannis has been outstanding. The chemistry between Dame and Giannis that Doc Rivers wanted to institute last year has really came to fruition this year. Their pick and roll is outstanding. They could feed off each other's energy. We saw against Philadelphia where they were, fast-paced. Dame hits Giannis. Giannis has been able to kick it out against Toronto. We had a lot of paint coverage from Toronto, and the Bucks were able to force it outside, kick threes, and keep scoring points. And finding different ways to win with both these players is going to be key. However, there's a problem that's been arising where the Bucks should have their big three going consistently, and we just don't have that. Chris Middleton was benched a couple weeks ago. Taurean Prince has taken his spot, and now Chris Middleton just doesn't seem to be playing much. We're unsure of, is he still on a minutes restriction? Is he still injured? What's going on with Chris Middleton exactly? There's been some rumors lately of Jimmy Butler going to Phoenix, and that's kind of accelerating more and more, especially with Phoenix trading acquiring 3 picks and trading the first round 31 first round pick to the Utah Jazz, and they got 3 first round picks. I believe it was a 25th, a 27, 2025, 2027, and 2029. Just having those picks available for Phoenix is going to help them out a lot. They want to get rid of Beal. I don't know if anyone saw last night, there was a video that circulated around Twitter that had Beal kind of avoiding the huddle where they were, putting their hands in, having a pregame huddle with the starters and some bench players. And Beal kind of just stood behind, shook someone's hand, and then walked around and showed absolutely no enthusiasm or no will to join their huddle. And Miami doesn't want Bradley Beal in return for Jimmy Butler. So in order for Butler to go to Phoenix and Beal to leave Phoenix, there's going to have to be a third team involved. Right now, there's rumors that the Bucks are going to be that third team involved. However, the Bucks cannot just take on Bradley Beal's contract for Middleton. Beal is still owed $100 million on his current contract. He has a 5-year, $251 million max deal. So he still has 3 years left on that. I don't really know how to feel about Bradley Beal coming here. I really wanted Jimmy Butler to come back to Milwaukee. He did play with Marquette. Fantastic player for Marquette. Bradley Beal is kind of like a Chris Middleton, pretty much the same thing. Bradley Beal hasn't played 60 games since 2018, 2019. Middleton has been the same way, though. He had 55 games last year, 33 and 22 and 23, 66, 68, and 62. So, Middleton has surgery every offseason to repair knees or ankles or something with his legs consistently. He starts the season off on the bench, not really playing. But Bradley Beal is the same way. He doesn't seem to be healthy. He's dealing with knee injuries currently. So getting him and getting rid of Middleton, plus you're going to have to get rid of Lopez. There's a guy with the Sporting News, Shea is his last name, Danny Shea. He was saying that Bobby Portis is going to have to be traded just with his contract, just to make it logistically work. And I'm not a big fan of trading Bobby Portis. While he's not the best player, he's very quality off the bench. His enthusiasm is fantastic. He's that spark that the Bucks really need. Just to get the crowd in the game. He backs up everybody. Milwaukee loves Bobby. Ever since we won the NBA championship, Milwaukee really has been in love with Bobby Portis. And getting rid of him is just I really don't see that being a good thing. Getting rid of Middleton, I definitely would. Yeah, I want to get rid of Middleton. I've been wanting to get rid of Middleton for a couple years. Last year in the playoffs, when he finally, tried to carry the Bucks on him and really improved and busted his ass, it just kept making shots left and right. I was telling friends of mine and other people when we were talking about the Bucks, like, man, I kind of regret saying any bad things about Chris Middleton. And this year, it's just back to the same thing. It's almost like it's a very short memory that athletes need to have. And I just don't really want Chris Middleton in Milwaukee. There's nothing wrong with Chris Middleton. Per his 36, there's a stat where you take their actual stats and then you average it for 36 minutes per game. And Chris Middleton would be averaging 7.7 assists per game, which would be a career high for him. So he's passing the ball. He's doing well. In 12 and a half minutes per game, he has 12.6 points per game, 5.1 assists, 3.9 rebounds, and 0.9 steals. He's shooting all right, 480 from the field, but he's owed $31.7 million this year. Keeping him is kind of a hindrance on the cap. We're already over. We've been over for years. Just keeping him he's getting older. The injuries. I want some younger players, some help around. Speed us up, get some shooting. He was taken over by a guy who was on the lowest contract you could have. I mean, a minimum contract in Prince, and Prince has been doing just fine in the lineup. The other problem for the Bucks this year is when Dame, Middleton, and Giannis are on the floor, the chemistry is completely off. You could just see it by how the Bucks play. Giannis is still doing his thing. He always does his thing. He doesn't care who's in the lineup with him. He's going to do his thing. But Dame is different. Dame doesn't like to pick and roll as much with Giannis. Dame doesn't sit there and take threes. He doesn't penetrate. He doesn't try to do his normal game. He seems to want to pass the ball around, facilitate more, and it's just throwing the Bucks off. They're just not as good with Middleton on the floor, and that's a big hindrance right now. He's only playing 12 and a half minutes per game, so basically a quarter out of 4 quarters, you're getting Middleton on the floor, and if your best players aren't playing the best that they can, that's kind of a problem for a quarter, especially right now with the Bucks starting 2-8 on the season. Their room for error is, minimal. If they win at a 70% clip for the rest of the year, they're not even hitting 55 wins. So making sure that all your players are playing at their best, getting Dame comfortable with Middleton and Giannis is going to be work. It took a whole year for Dame to get comfortable with Giannis, and now it's showing. But we don't have a year to wait for Middleton, Giannis, and Dame to all get it together. So trading Middleton is definitely something that I'm in agreement with. Getting rid of Bobby, no. There's been some rumors that Brook Lopez is going to be traded. I read an article the other day that was saying Brook Lopez is more than likely out of Milwaukee. He's a good – I liked him a couple of years ago. I think it's just been 2 years too long with Lopez. He's old. He barely can move. Yeah, he shoots threes, but, he doesn't really move like how he's supposed to. His defense is lacking a little bit. He's not the same. That's what happens when players get older. You can't keep pounding, and then running up and down and think that your body's just going to last forever. It's not. He's 7'1"? I mean, knees take a lot of damage. You're tall, and then you're running constantly. You're down low, bodying with bigger players and stuff. So, Lopez, his time is coming near. He's only got maybe 1 or 2 years left in the league, I'd say, maybe 3 if he wants to keep playing. The interesting thing about Bradley Beal, though, is he's a career 21.5 points per game or something near that. But he approved a no-trade clause, or he approved to waive his no-trade clause in a trade to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I'm unsure if he officially said that or if people in his circle or people with some insider knowledge found that information out. That's interesting because that will determine where he's going to go and how this trade is going to work. Jimmy Butler was just suspended 2 games again today by the Miami Heat for missing a team practice or was late to the bus or something. They just keep finding ways to suspend him. They tried to fine him the maximum amount just recently, I think last week. He played 1 game or 1 or 2 games, and then now he's suspended again. So Butler's definitely out. There was rumors that he was going to come here, but again, if we trade Middleton, we have to trade other people. Money's just not going to line up. Beal is all right this year. He's, really not doing much different than what Middleton is. He's playing more, but he's shooting 48.5% from the field, 38.5% from 3. Middleton's doing the exact same thing, 480 from the field, 377 from the field. From 3, but he's shooting 83% from the free throw line. Beal is 75%. Beal has him outmatched on steals, 1.1 to 0.9, less rebounds, less assists, more points. Do you want to trade more points for the assists? I don't know. Will Beal be better with Dame and Giannis? Maybe. But he's got Durant and Booker and, Suns are disappointing this season. Is that because his attitude in the locker room is affecting the entire team? Who knows? Is he going to be happy in Milwaukee or going from Phoenix to Milwaukee? Monday and Tuesday, the wind chill was negative 30. Phoenix wasn't that. So, are you going to be happy up here in the cold? It's snowing right now. I've been wearing a ski mask for the past 2 days because if you step outside for 5 minutes, your ears hurt. So, are you going to be happy up here? Is it just, a chemistry thing? Butler's unhappy in Miami. He's going to be out of there. That's pretty much inevitable. Beal's unhappy in Phoenix. He's going to be out of there. That's pretty much inevitable. Is Beal worth getting rid of Portis, Middleton, Lopez, maybe another player? I don't know. I think that we definitely have to get some draft capital. I didn't look up how many draft picks we have, but I believe we have like 2 in the next 7 years. That's not good. Our team is getting older. I read a report, not a report, it's like a prediction thing at the beginning of the year that CBS Sports was saying that Giannis is probably going to get traded next season. However, the Bucks are one of the best teams in the league since November. Are they going to really trade Giannis unless the Bucks just don't deliver, just another failed quick exit out of the playoffs this year? Maybe Giannis says, hey, I'm tired. Get me out of here. That happens. Bucks are over. They're going to have to restart, and with no draft picks, that's not happening. and Milwaukee's not a destination that people are, jumping up and down and thrilled to come to. It's a struggle to get people to Milwaukee. This isn't the Green Bay Packers with their legacy, with the historical factor, with the environment in Green Bay. People want to come to the Packers. Reggie White was one of the first people. He said, I want to come to Green Bay. And after he came and Brett Favre was here and the Packers started winning, people said, yeah, I'll go up to the frozen tundra. But the Bucks aren't the same. The Brewers can't get anyone. I mean, yeah, it's money, but it's a small city. People want to be in bigger cities. They want to be in the warmth, especially in the winter months. And people aren't just jumping up and down to come to Milwaukee. That's not an exciting thing. I think I've said before, I've wrote on Fan Nation. I was on that website talking to people across the country, even in different countries, and never once did I hear someone say, yeah, I'm taking a vacation to Milwaukee. It was either, yeah, I have a business trip to Milwaukee. And everyone was always going down south or going somewhere warm or, to Cali or a big city for vacations. Milwaukee's just not that. So getting draft picks and developing players is going to be important. The Bucks kind of screwed over a lot of draft picks that they've had just by either not playing them or sending them to the G League. Marjan Beauchamp comes to mind. Just hasn't gotten playing time. Then we send him to the G League. I think he's still in the G League right now, jumping back and forth. He'll get some playing time. Then he's in the G League. Then he's getting some playing time. And that's just since Budenholzer was a coach here, which is funny enough, he's the coach in Phoenix. But since he was the coach here, the Bucks just don't like developing and playing young players. Andrew Jackson Jr. last year, I used to yell at the TV on why he's not in the game. It just didn't make sense to me. Great defensively. He played fantastic defensively, shut everything down, contribute a little bit on offense, good ball movement. And as soon as he starts doing really good or gets his shot, going, boom, he's out of the lineup, then you never see him again. That stuff can't happen. We don't have any draft picks anyway, so who cares about the young players, I guess. That's really the Bucks' philosophy. But with regards back to Beal, I don't know. I'm kind of torn about it. I really like acquiring new players, getting better, improving, but injuries with Beal, is he better than Middleton? I don't know. Middleton's been here pretty much since the start after he got traded from Detroit. So I'd probably just keep Middleton at this point. Let's go with Middleton, Giannis, and Dame, get them extra practice or figure out what exactly is going on. The Bucks definitely do need to improve their offense, though. Doc Rivers said that the Bucks aren't 12th. Yeah, that's a number, but we're not playing like we're 12th in the league in offensive efficiency. And they kind of are. They kind of are playing like they're 12th. Yeah, they're winning, but that's their defense. Their defense is, I believe, like 5th or 6th in defensive efficiency on the year. And the Bucks are 12th in offense efficiency, 113.6 points per 100 possessions. And the Bucks have to fix that. There's 11 teams better on offense than you. When it comes time to the playoffs, it's about points, scoring, and taking advantage. You can't, defense is going to help, but you need to score. And you're going to play against the Celtics, the Knicks, the Cavaliers, and you haven't beaten them this year. So what's the difference when it comes to the playoffs? Yeah, you might be able to beat up on the 5, 6, 7 seed or whatever, but if you can't beat the top 3 teams in the conference, you're not going to make the championship. That's not going to happen. So definitely getting somebody on offense to help out is going to be key. Just keep improving, keep playing how they've been playing. Yeah, they play close games against bad teams, but as long as they keep winning, who cares? As long as they look good, that's what's important, showing different signs of improvement in different areas. That's been key. Bobby Portis needs to stay in Milwaukee, though. I've been a huge fan of him. A lot of people around Milwaukee have been. Bobby chants are very common when you go to Bucks games. They have T-shirts that just say Bobby on there. That he is the face of the Bucks outside of Giannis, outside of Dame. They're the stars. But Bobby is that player that everyone can kind of, yeah, we like him. He's got the toughness, the grit. Excuse me. He's got the toughness, the grit. That's the player that we want to keep in Milwaukee. Getting rid of Lopez, Middleton, that's fine. We can get rid of some other players. AJ Green has been great from 3. Keeping him is definitely going to help. Maybe put him in the starting lineup for a little bit, see if he could jumpstart some offense going quick, shoot threes. AJ Green's been great. So I don't know how I feel about Bradley Beal coming here. I'll take him as long as we don't have to give up too much. Definitely get some draft capital. That would be important. But let's get a shooter. Let's get Bradley Beal in. Let's move on from Middleton in his contract. And let's kick ass the second half of the season. Bucks do have a rough stretch, though, coming up. I believe they have 13 games in 24 days with 9 back-to-backs. And only one of those back-to-backs is at home in the same stadium as against the Sixers. And I can't remember who the other team is, but having a back-to-back in different cities is super tough. You have to not only play a game, you get on a plane, you land, you go pretty much maybe to the hotel and then the stadium, just straight to the stadium. Then you got another game, boom. Then you jump on another plane to go wherever your next destination is. It's tough, and having 9 of those is going to be tough. But the All-Star break's going to be nice, and then it's crunch time after that. We have no tiebreakers between the top 3 seeds. We lost all of those so far, so minimizing any errors, keep winning games. Bucks are probably going to be locked into the 4th seed unless they just outright beat the Knicks or the Cavs or the Celtics, which I don't see happening. So we'll probably get the 4th seed for the playoffs, and hope everything goes well. I want a great season, but definitely going to be keeping an eye on the Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler situation. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on Middleton. I want to see rumors about Lopez, Portis, and what's going on with everything. So before we switch topics, I want to talk some Badgers football with Xavier Lucas going to Miami. I want to talk about CC Sabathia getting elected to the Hall of Fame. He did have that one great season with the Brewers. Pretty sure everyone remembers 2008 where he got traded for about, half the season. And everyone said, well, a one-year rental? Well, that one-year rental helped us propel to the playoffs. So that was great seeing him in Milwaukee. Couldn't re-sign him, but it was great seeing him in Milwaukee. And then a passing of a legend broadcaster for 54 years, Bob Uecker. So we'll talk about him, some memories, some great things about him. So we're listening to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Just make sure to check out iesportsradio.com. We have a lot of good podcasts all over the country, so make sure to check everyone out. You can follow me on Twitter at Wisconsin Whistle, IESR, or my personal account at Dyhard, DYHARD. Don't spell die on there. You won't find me. Also check us out on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's still up and running. So make sure to check that out. And YouTube at IE Sports Radio. We have .com. You can find us on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, everywhere you get podcasts from. Make sure to check us out there. I want to switch gears and talk about this Wisconsin football situation that's going on. Not only are we getting a new offensive coordinator, but we're in the news for something that's, I don't know, do you want to call it bad, good? Not really sure. Do want to give a shout out to Ohio State defeating Notre Dame in the national championship on Monday. They won 34-23. Bring some money into the Big Ten. Wisconsin does benefit from that, but that was a fantastic game, and I'm really a big fan of these 12-team playoffs. Wouldn't expand it right now. Every game besides the first round was fantastic. A lot of close matchups. Texas, Arizona State probably takes the lead as the best game out of the playoffs, but this is fun. This is some fun college football. Maybe put 16 teams, add a couple games. I don't know, but this was fun to watch. So I'm happy that this anticipated game ended exactly how it did. It was everyone loved watching it. It was back and forth. I didn't hear any negatives about the game. It was a 7 and 8 seed too, so you didn't get 1 versus 2 or, they were the top teams anyway. No, you got a 7 and 8 seed and just a fantastic season from Ohio State. So congrats to them. I know that's our rival, but they brought us money, so hey, you got to congratulate them. Just jokes, but. Anyway, Jeff Grimes is going to be the new offensive coordinator. He's going to bring in some new offense. The Badgers were 82nd and 87th at time of possession for the last 2 years after spending majority of the decade in the top 10 for time of possession. And that's because the run game has just basically disappeared the past 2 seasons. The passing game has done nothing. I mean, just nothing. So getting the run game back going is going to be a top priority for Jeff Grimes. He says he wants to jump back to the rough and gritty roots of the Badger football and establish the run game first going forward. Grimes used to play on the offensive line at UTEP under Andy Reid, actually. But the Badgers are probably going to be a shotgun-oriented team still. Last year, the Badgers ran 98.4% of snaps out of shotgun. Grimes used it 97.5% of the time at Kansas. However, the personnel is going to be a little different. So he barely used 10 personnel, which is 4 wide receivers, a running back, and no tight ends. And he utilized 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets, 2 wide receivers, and a running back. He used that about 40% of the time. 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back. He used that about half the time, 52.7%. So we'll still see that. Phil Longo was a very big 11 personnel guy. He also used 10 personnel quite often, which for the Badgers not being a passing team, that's kind of pointless. They can't pass the ball anyway, so why throw 4 wide receivers out there? So seeing a different offense for the Badgers and getting back to running the football is going to be great. Grimes had 2 top 15 rushing offenses the past 4 seasons. One was at Baylor and last year was at Kansas. But he does know how to run a passing offense as well when he had Zach Wilson at quarterback at BYU. I believe like during COVID or something, 2020, 2021, 2019, somewhere in that range. I can't remember. But I'm looking forward to seeing the Badgers this year. Last quarterback that I remember that was a one and done that really succeeded that came from NC State was Russell Wilson. And we have Billy Edwards Jr. coming from Maryland, who will also be a one and done. 72.3 completion percentage last year at his first 5 games with 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He still finished 3rd overall in the Big Ten in passing yards per game, but fell off kind of in the second half. I wouldn't really even say fell off. He just kind of cooled down a little bit. I'm really looking forward to how he plays with the Badgers. We did bring in 2 wide receivers, one from Ohio State, Jaden Ballard. He hasn't really played much in his career, 2 catches for 18 yards in the last 2 seasons, 11 catches, 177 yards, and a touchdown in his career at Ohio State. He had a lot of experience, a lot of great players, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith this season. So he's had players, Igbua, I think his name, or Amika Igbua. He's had players around him. So the Badgers are going to show basically, can he compete and be, a standout player, or does he just lack the skill in college to really get meaningful playing time? So the Badgers, he'll really show what he's made of here. If he doesn't play in Wisconsin, then he's just not cut out, in my opinion. If he does play, though, I look forward to seeing him and bringing that experience and knowledge that he learned at Ohio State to the Badgers wide receiver room. We also got a really nice weapon in Idaho transfer, Mark Hamper. He had 49 catches, 961 yards, and 6 touchdowns last season, and he was a freshman. He finished 6th in the Jerry Rice Award, which is the FCS Freshman of the Year. So getting him going is going to be great. He made the switch. He wanted to go to a bigger, more, I guess, not knowledgeable, but he wants to get seen. He wants, people to see him every week. I don't know anyone who really watched Idaho games consistently. So seeing him at Wisconsin, that's always on either NBC, Peacock, ESPN, FS1, Fox. Seeing him at Wisconsin is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to this Badgers offense. And I just want to say my congrats to Hunter Waller and Jack Nelson. Jack Nelson was the left tackle who started all 12 games last season. He's also started at right guard in his career, started 50 games. He's a day 3 projection for the draft, but he's going to the Reese Senior Bowl. So good luck to everything for him. Hope you have a great Senior Bowl. Really, kind of boost your grade up a little bit. Maybe you could be a late day 2, early day 3. But he's going to the NFL. And so is Hunter Waller, safety. He had 120 tackles. It was first team All Big Ten in 2023. 71 tackles, 6 pass deflections in 2024, but reached that 200 career tackle mark. Right now they have him at top 20 safety, kind of the fringe. Some reports have him in the top 20. Some have him 21, 22. So, but he's also be at the Reese Senior Bowl, so he could really establish himself and get into the top 20. So I'm estimating probably day 2, early day 3 pick for him. So that's some nice stuff for the Badgers there. Good luck to those guys, and wish everything for the best. There's just an unfortunate situation that is going on with the Badgers, though. So Xavier Lucas, apparently, he's been in the news because he enrolled at Miami. The Badgers did not allow him to hit the transfer portal. They didn't want to lose him. 247 Sports ranked him as the number 2 corner in the transfer rankings, number 25 overall player. And he kind of got around the official transfer rules. So every team, once a player wants to transfer, a team has to list him in the transfer portal within 2 business days. That's by the NCAA guidelines. The Badgers didn't list him. So apparently Lucas must have already had a lawyer, or I'm not really sure how he had representatives or that whole process with that, but they advised him to unenroll from Wisconsin and go down and enroll where he wants to play. So he wants to play in Miami, where he grew up. His dad's ill, so he wants to be by him, which is completely understandable. I don't know how to think about the Badgers, not granting that transfer. Are you going to keep a guy? So that's kind of a sticky situation. But right now, the Badgers are saying that they're going to sue. They went to the NCAA and said Miami had tampered with Xavier Lucas. Lucas and his representatives have claimed that they did not contact Miami football department, but his grades and overall just whatever you have to do to apply to college, ACT scores, SAT test scores, grades, they were good enough to get into Miami. So he enrolled in Miami with no problems. The NCAA issued a statement that said NCAA rules do not prevent a student athlete from unenrolling from an institution, enrolling at a new institution, and competing immediately. And that's what his lawyer is claiming, that he should be able to start next season for Miami with no problems. Wisconsin does not agree with that. So they're saying that he signed a 2-year contract with them. The problem is the House didn't finalize the revenue sharing agreement or settlement or whatever the situation is with this. So Lucas's attorneys and lawyers are claiming that, well, the House hasn't settled or finalized this settlement. So how is the revenue sharing agreement that you guys signed valid? Wisconsin's saying that, yes, it is valid. It sticks. It has basically, it has merit. Lucas's attorneys are saying, no, it doesn't. So they kind of have to go back and forth regarding that. I don't really know if this is going to lead to more players doing the same thing. I'm unhappy. I'm not getting playing time. I'm unenrolling from this school. And, I want to go to Ohio State. Yeah, I could get in. I'm going to sign on there. And now all of a sudden you're playing for Ohio State or, whatever the case is. I don't know if this is going to be a new loophole or what's going to go on with this. It's kind of sticky. The Big Ten released a statement. They're supporting the Badgers. Obviously, they're saying the ACC and Miami shouldn't have did this. They're saying Miami's kind of breaking their new pact, I guess, that they're doing the A4, which is the 4 major conferences, ACC, SEC, Big Ten, and Big 12. So I don't really know how this is going to go. I feel like the Badgers should have let him hit the transfer portal. It's a valid reason he wants to go play next to his father, be closer to his family, dealing with that problem. So, let him go. Let him go. I have no problem with that. But, if he found a loophole and this is a valid loophole, then there's no problems. If Miami did tamper with him and these are the rules that are set in place, then Miami should face some punishment. I don't think that Xavier Lucas should face punishment. He tried to exploit a loophole, didn't work. Wisconsin didn't honor his request to transfer. I wouldn't punish Xavier Lucas. I'd probably just punish the Miami Hurricanes and call it a day. But this is definitely something to monitor and watch. Just keep an eye on what's going on. It'll kind of establish a precedent moving forward for transfers if they do have to hit the portal, or if they could just unenroll and enroll somewhere else and be able to play. So this is something to watch for moving forward. Speaking of the Badgers, They lost last night to UCLA 85-83. They had 5 minutes of offense without a field goal. Bruins scored 6 straight during that stretch in the second half. John Tonji led the Badgers 24 points, 6 of 7 from 3. John Blackwell had 23. Badgers are now 15-4 overall, 5-3 in the conference, but they snapped a 7-game win streak. Their next game Sunday against Nebraska. And staying in basketball, Marquette beat Seton Hall last night. I mean, they just dominated Seton Hall, 76-59. They only had 3 players over 10 points. Cam Jones with 19, David Joplin with 12, and Ben Gold with 11. They host Villanova on Friday, and they're improved to 16-3 and still leading the Big East. After those quick notes on basketball, let's switch to baseball. Bob Uecker passed away actually right after my show. It was Thursday, I believe the news came out. 90 years old. He was still doing Brewers baseball on the radio for 620 WTMJ. 54 years as a broadcaster for the Brewers. He was a legend. He was with Vince Scully, Bob Costas. He was up there with those legends of the game. Everyone knew him. He played in Major League as Harry Doyle. Just a bit outside was him. Everyone knows that line right there. And Bob Uecker was just great. He had the get up, get out of here, gone, home run call. And, his memory is going to last for a long time. He had a 5-year MLB career. He played for the Milwaukee Braves. That just shows you when he played. He won the World Series with the Cardinals in '64, played with the Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. He started broadcasting in 1971, and I remember reading that I think he was on ABC in the 70s and 80s. I know he called games with Bob Costas, how they became great friends for NBC in the 90s. Joe Morgan was on there as well. Every time the Brewers played the Cardinals, Bob Costas would come up in the press box, broadcasting booth. They'd call the game simultaneously. So that was I remember it used to be on MLB Network. They used to, break to it so that you could see it sometimes. And just having him in the booth is going to be definitely a change. I grew up listening to Bob Uecker on the radio. Even though I'd watch the game, my parents would have the game on TV in the kitchen or the living room, but have Bob Uecker on the radio because it was just more fun to listen to Bob Uecker. It was more fun to just hear him call the game. Spring training, listening to him was always fun because he had a million stories. You knew everybody. My aunt and uncle knew him. My cousins knew him. I met him a couple times. My grandma met him a couple times. So, he was always a fantastic guy every time I met him, and he's going to be greatly missed, definitely going to be missed. He had the Miller Lite commercial where he was sitting in the stands, and the usher came up to him and said, "Hey, you're in the wrong seat." And he said, "Oh, I must be in the front row." Well, the next seat they cut, and he was upstairs, nosebleeds, couldn't barely see the game. So the Brewers instituted this seating area. It's straight up above home plate. It's way up there, though. It's got 2 big beams kind of next to it. I don't know if they're blocking the view. I never sat in the seats. Actually never went to the seats. But they sell it for $1. You can only buy them day of the game for those seats. They're $1. They're called the Uecker seats. I don't know if other stadiums do that. I don't know if other people refer to them as the Uecker seats. But that's the official Brewers thing that they do at American Family Field. You just have to go down there day of game, $1, buy the Uecker seats. You can see a game or half see it. I don't know how much is obstructed or how the seats are, but might need binoculars. It's way up there. But that's a tribute to him. So he will be missed. I just wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to Bob Uecker and his passing. That was huge news across baseball and MLB. He was still doing games last year. I think 4 or 5 years ago, he kind of slowed down doing games. He didn't do every single game. He did a lot of homestand games, though. He didn't travel. And I believe he was still on schedule to do games this year. So with his passing, I do look forward to a new chapter for the Brewers broadcasting. No one can replace Bob Uecker, and no one expects to replace Bob Uecker. So he's always going to be remembered and missed, but it's a new chapter now for broadcasting. So we'll see what happens, but just definitely want to say rest in peace to Bob Uecker. What a fantastic broadcasting career and multiple Hall of Fames for broadcasting. Has a plaque on the American Family Field, almost called it Miller Park. American Family Field Stadium for 50 years, 54 years as a broadcaster. What a fantastic career. In positive news, though, CC Sabathia, Ichiro, and Billy Wagner were elected to the Hall of Fame yesterday. Just a side note, I know this isn't Brewers, but the fact that Ichiro did not get unanimous selection to the Hall of Fame is just outrageous. The Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, has this rule where you could allow yourself to not have your ballot shown with your name on it. And Derek Jeter didn't get unanimous vote last year or the year before. I can't remember when he got elected, last year or year before. He didn't get unanimous. Mariano Rivera was the only player ever to get unanimous, which is shocking to me as well. Why Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Cy Young. There's a lot of players that didn't get unanimous selected to the Hall of Fame. No idea why. Ichiro, I mean, you didn't even have to look at stats when he played. I was younger, but I remember Ichiro vividly. He played for Seattle basically his whole career, ended it in Miami, I believe, with the Marlins. Over 3,000 hits. He had 256 or 252 in a season, which led most ever. But Ichiro was like, he didn't really home run too much, didn't really crank the ball, but he always figured out a way to get on base. He had that style where he pulled away from the ball every time he hit, but he was fast. He could get on base. Every time you watch a game, you guaranteed he's pretty much getting on base. If betting was popular or really like heavily around back when Ichiro played, I'm pretty sure you can make a lot of money betting that Ichiro would get a hit each game, or he would get over 200 hits in the season. So whoever didn't vote for him should definitely be exposed and wondered why he didn't vote for that. And I just want to say to all Hall of Fame voters that, like, let's stop this. Let's stop the steroid thing, the PEDs. Let's stop the he shouldn't be unanimous. Nobody should. If Babe Ruth and Walter Johnson and Hank Aaron weren't unanimous, let's stop all of this. Let's put in Roger Clemens. Let's put in Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. Let's put in Barry Bonds. These players dominated during their time. And while they were, let's say, taking an advantage or getting an advantage, every player has figured out a way to get ahead of their competition. And if they were playing in the steroid era, well, they were probably playing against people who also were taking some steroids. So if they were still better than everyone else, just put them in the Hall of Fame, put them as, put them in a different section, maybe put it as the PED era of baseball, mark it as history. It happened. We're never going to forget about it. You can't take away the past. So just put it as a section, put them in the Hall of Fame, get them in there. I've always been a big proponent of putting Bonds, Clemens, all of them in the Hall of Fame. So let's just get that done and out of the way. Put them in there. They played against the same competition. If they have a list of 100, 200, 300 players all taking PEDs, steroids, well, clearly if everyone was doing it or a majority of players were doing it, and these players were still dominating, just put them in. Steroids, they don't just make you hit a ball. I can't just take a bunch of steroids, go out and go swing a baseball, and my timing's perfectly and everything's out of the park. I guess 95, 98 mile per hour fastballs. I can't just go on the field and throw a 98 mile per hour fastball when my fastball might sit at 72. I can't do that. I could go to the weight room and lift weights for 12 hours a day and then go work out the next day, and I'll still gain strength. yeah, that'll happen. But I'm not just going to be an all-star player, and I, wasn't very good at baseball outside of pitching. I was a pitcher. Couldn't really hit. I did hit, but I could pitch. I just can't anymore because my arm, I don't know what happened to my arm, but I can't throw without pain, so it didn't really play too long. But I'm not going to go out on the field and start striking out, Hall of Fame players. I'm not going to go strike out every single player that's playing. It's just not going to happen. Shohei Ohtani is not going to face me and say, oh, geez, he's dangerous. So, I'm going to throw a fastball. He'll smoke it out the park within 4 seconds. So let's just stop all this, get a cheer in. I do want to congratulate CC Sabathia for getting in the Hall of Fame, though. He was the last great workhorse of pitchers. One of 3 left-handers with 3,000 Ks, one of 15 pitchers with 3,000 Ks and 250 wins. Finished with 3,093 strikeouts, had a Cy Young Award for Cleveland, ALCS MVP and World Series title with the Yankees, 6-time All-Star. 2008, he was with the Brewers, got traded over, 17 games he pitched for us, 1.65 ERA, 255 ERA plus, league average is 100. I just remember in 2008 that he pitched, I think, every 3 days for like the last 2 weeks of the season. He really made a magical run for the Brewers to reach the postseason, and the Brewers were just always an average team for as long as I can remember. So he pushed them up to the postseason. However, I think he just got tired because he was horrible. 3.2 innings, 5 earned, 4 walks in the postseason, but we try to not to remember that. We remember his magical run. So CC Sabathia, congratulations on getting the Hall of Fame nod. You were a Brewer, so we will remember you as a Brewer. We knew that you weren't going to re-sign with us, but that 2008 bringing us to the playoffs really changed the Brewers, got them going. Another Brewer that actually helped, played in 2011 when we ran it to the NLCS, is K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez. Get him in the Hall of Fame. 437 saves, 2.86 ERA, 148 ERA plus, 1,100 strikeouts. Get him in the Hall of Fame. He's still up there. You could vote for him next year. Let's vote for him. Get him in. Billy Wagner should help K-Rod get in a little more. If Billy Wagner got in, his stats are somewhat similar. K-Rod played for the Brewers for 5 seasons, 95 saves, 266 strikeouts, and an under 3 ERA. NLDS in 2011, played in 2 games, 2 innings pitched, no earned, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. He closed out games. He didn't record any wins or anything, but he closed out games and helped the Brewers get to the NLCS, where they ended up losing. Was it because of him? 1 walk, 4 Ks, 1 earned, and 3 innings pitched in 3 games. So he definitely needs to get into the Hall of Fame. Go vote for him next year, everyone who's eligible to vote. And I just wanted to end on that note. Speaking of Brewers baseball, pitchers and catchers report February 13th. The full squad reports February 18th. Don't look for the Bucs game tonight. Their game is postponed because New Orleans received 8 to 10 inches of snow. I will keep you guys updated on Twitter. I'll probably either share it or just make the post myself, depending on the game tomorrow night. New Orleans probably has no plows down there. If they do, they're probably not very adequate to work on everything with the amount of snow they did get, especially because they're on the ocean and it's warm all the time. So hopefully they can get out of there tomorrow morning early, at least make it back here in time for their game. I'm not expecting the Bucs to win tomorrow just because of what's happening tonight with the flight and logistically and all of that. So hopefully they do win. It'll be definitely a challenge for them. So keep that in mind. If they do overcome that hump, that's a good sign for the second half of the season. Hope everyone stays safe down in the South with all that snow. I know it's going to take a while. But it's cold here. It was cold down south. It's cold everywhere. Hopefully we get some warmer weather. Hopefully the wildfires out in Cali start to die down. Haven't heard too much news from them recently, so maybe they're starting to die down. Everyone's safe. So thanks for listening to everyone. Again, I'm your host, Dan Vachalek, a.k.a. Dyhard. You can follow me at Dyhard on Twitter, at Wisconsin Whistle, IESR. So it's at WISC Whistle, IESR on Twitter. That's the show's page. And follow our main account on Twitter as well, IE Sports Radio. That wraps up this week's Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Goodbye, Wisconsin.